Hello everyone and welcome to Werven's World. Today I would like to start a new tutorial series for Endless Legend, basically describing the mechanics of combat. This is not work just by myself, it's a collaborative effort with a Steam user called Jiks, who has now been writing a written combat guide, and I'm providing videos to add to that in order to make a very extensive guide on how combat works. The reason we are doing that is, well, we both feel that this game has a very nice combat system, but when you see reviews of the game, you very often see that people really enjoy the game itself, but they don't really like the combat system at all. And we were wondering if that might be because the combat system itself is not very well explained, so there's a lot of intricacies to it, which we both really enjoy, but they might not be completely understood by players, and that makes them not immediately like the combat. So we thought we would kind of, well, give a very good overview on how combat works, so that people can go into this game understanding the mechanics and how to manipulate them. So the first video will be fairly short. It will be just kind of explaining combat statistics and what they do, how they influence battles, but there will be more videos explaining things, for example, like sieges and equipment and all that. So I've got my army here, which is my hero and 3 Dakari Rangers, and I am attacking here these 2 unsuspecting orcs. So let's attack. So I'll just immediately dive into the battle. And there. And I just click ready. Oh wait, yes. So let's first talk about combat statistics. So if I click on any of my units or any of my opponents, I get this window here that gives me all the information I need. So what do these statistics do? Well, the first thing we can look at is life. So life is basically just the hit points of an army. So if these orcs will kill some of my rangers, like there are 6 in this little group, my health will go down. However, what's very important in this game to know is that armies or units fight on full strength unless they're completely wiped out. So even if 5 out of 6 rangers were dead, I would still have the same defense, attack, initiative, damage values. Just my life would be a bit less. So that's very important to know. Then we can look at speed. What does speed do? Well, speed allows you to move a certain amount of hexes. So in this case my speed is 2, which means I can move 2 hexes, which the game shows by making it white. There we go. So we have these white hexes that show where I can go. So I can move 2 hexes there, and so on. There are tiles that take more to move through. For example, forest takes 2 to move through, so I can only move to this tile and not further. The reason this one here can only move 1 in this direction is that there's a hill here where she can't, like, you can't jump off it or anything, so she would have to take the long way around. So that's what movement does. Then let's first look at initiative. Initiative influences when your turn is in battle. So as you can see here, there's this bar here, and that depicts who acts first. So first is a ranger, then another ranger, then another ranger, then there's the orcs, and then there's my hero. And this is depicted, or this is decided on by the initiative values. So my rangers have an initiative of 45, the orcs have an initiative of 35, and my hero has 30. And that's why he's last. I think it's a he at least, not sure. And yeah, so that's very important because you want to have a high initiative value, because, well, if I can kill an orc before they can react, all the better, right? So initiative is fairly nice to have. So then we can go into attack and defense. Attack in itself doesn't really have to do anything with damage. They basically, the higher your attack, the higher your odds are of actually hitting the enemy. And how the game does that is it compares the attack of your unit with the defense of the unit you're attacking, and then it basically, based on those values, it rolls a dice. If your attack is twice as high as the defense of the enemy, which in this case it is, I have 130 versus 39, then your odds of hitting are basically 100%, but you have an 80% chance of doing a normal hit which you can actually see here, attack success odds, 80% chance for a normal hit, and 20% chance for a critical hit. When your attack is not twice as high anymore, this all goes down, and at some point you have chances of fumbles, which is half damage, and critical fails, which is 0 damage, so basically a miss. So the higher your attack value is in relation to the defense value of your opponent decides on how likely you are to hit or do a critical hit or fail. Then there is the last value, which is damage, and damage basically is just a flat value. So if I attack, which I'll do in a bit, you will see 31 damage popping up, and these ones should do 29 damage when they hit. So attack can influence how much damage you do, but that's just because of critical hits. So as you can see here, when I do a critical hit, I do 150% damage, which is 43 damage in this case. So this game doesn't really have anything like armor that kind of reduces damage or something like that as an inherent mechanism, which you see in many other games. So basically, if you hit, you do a set amount of damage to a unit. Then there is another statistic that I'm going to talk about in this video, the last one, and that is morale. And morale is basically the value that you, or it's kind of a bonus you get from standing together with friends. So for example, this one here is surrounded by 3 friendly units, and you get a 15% bonus per point of morale. And this one has 3 points of morale. As you can see, 3 little things are white and 3 are grey. Which means that I get 3 times 15% bonus on my attack and defense. So standing adjacent to your enemies makes you more likely to hit. My morale goes down if I stand next to enemies, so you actually get negative morale. So that's very important. If you really want to defend or attack properly, you should really kind of cluster up your units so that they're all happy and better at attacking. So that also increases your chances for critical hits then, right? There are a couple of more ways in which you can change these attack and defense values. And that's basically if you have high ground, which in this case I have, right? There are, these guys are on lower ground than I am. I actually get a 30% attack bonus. And in winter, this increases to a 60% attack bonus. I am not entirely sure now how high ground works with ranged, or if that's just a melee thing, like if there's a guy here hitting them, or if that also applies to range. I'm not 100% sure of. Once I find out, I will annotate this video. Then there is a way you can get defense, and that is by standing into forests. As you can see here, I'm in a forest and I get 30% defense from that. As you can see here, this one is surrounded by 3 units and is in a forest, and it has a defense of 52. This one is surrounded by 3 units but is not in a forest, and it has a defense of 39. So the forest gives us higher defense, and it basically makes the opponents hit us less often. So that's basically all I wanted to say now about the statistics. Next time we'll go a bit deeper into the mechanics of combat. Now I'll just kind of do 1 round of combat so you can see that the damage is actually what I told you it would be. So first there's 3 rangers that will do about 29 damage unless they critically hit. It's a 43, and this one should do 31 damage. This one gets attack bonus. There, minus 29 because it hit. This one gets an attack bonus because of the morale. Now it does 28. See, so there is like a little bit randomness to it. And again 28. Now the orcs are, but they can't get in range because they only have a range of 3, I think. And now this one will shoot. 31 damage. There we go. So that's how basically the combat statistics works. So I hope you find it useful, and see you next time.